My name is Charles Munka. I'm a painter and I live and work on Sado Island, Japan. Living and working on Sado Island for the past 7 years now. And since the beginning of my career, I always like to use my direct surroundings as inspiration, but also as a material itself. So my process is based a lot on sampling things, whether it be like things that I encounter in my daily life or things that I'm gonna listen to, read about. Anything that comes through my life, I like to select what I prefer and then integrate it into my work. So, living for 7 years on Sado, I realized that No is a huge part of the island. It's part of the culture. It's been for many, many years. My first encounter with No was through the locations where it used to be performed, so the No stages on Sado. I always liked to layer things up. Again, I think it comes back to the idea of sampling, because I don't want to work with only one thing. I need to take this thing, and my way of making it my own is to modifying it, and usually the way I do that is by mixing it up either with other things or with itself, with the No, for example. One line is this No notation dance. If I had 3, 4, or 5, you're gonna still identify it as it is, but then it loses its original meaning. Because there's so many, it gets confusing, it can't be read properly anymore. So your brain will find other ways to read it, as a shape or as a composition, rather than like as a No dance, for example. I use these things as an alphabet, so each pattern would work like a letter, and then by mixing them up all together, I'm creating like a new word, or even a sentence, or like a story, sometimes a whole story. So if you take one letter and you put it there, then it's just a letter, there's no particular meaning to it. But if you start like adding a bunch of them together and then you create words, then you create a story, that's what matters. So Holloways is something I read about. In the past few years, I have been reading a lot of this British writer, Robert Macfarlane. He could be what we call like a landscape writer. And in the UK, because of the nature of the ground, these paths that are used for centuries by many people. So they're like roads that go to the market or to the church or to the sea, and they're used again and again and again. And through time, they kind of like get deeper and deeper into the ground. And so they create these things called holloways, which is a hollow into the ground that is a path. So it's a path that is created through time, through habit, slowly, because of repeated like trajectory again and again and again. And the idea to me was that these lines that I'm using, they're like holloways, but into the air within these places on Sado, these no stages. They're kind of like a center of activity for the communities through the ages, through time, since like many hundreds of years. People have gathered into this place, they've danced into this place, and they've been moving, following the same trajectories again and again and again into these places. So that's why the relation between human movement, slowly repeating again and again through time, and the landscape, the places. And that's why the name Holloways made sense for me, to identify these lines and what I had in mind, and the reason why I was using them, like what kind of story I was trying to tell by using these lines. I really appreciate the dance of the seasons, you know, all year round, all these landscapes that you see all the time, they change, constantly changing. Every week it looks different, it sounds different, it smells different. And so for inspiration, it's the best. I mean, there's also beautiful spaces. There's plenty of amazing temples and shrines, no stages. And also, people here are very welcoming, very helpful, very open-minded also. I've been given access to many amazing places to work and to install my work. I'm doing a show in very old no stages around the island, and it's always been welcomed by communities. People who don't necessarily have an interest for art, but they always have a sensibility, and they can always, even if they don't necessarily understand what I'm trying to do, they'll appreciate it, and they'll be into the fact that I'm interested in their culture also, and I think it's beautiful. I didn't expect to be so influenced by what I found here. But to be in it, to be in the nature and to work with it, to work on it every day, it's a beautiful thing. And I remember moving here and being like, I don't really want to go anywhere anymore now. So this was like something that struck me. I was like, huh, is that it? Like, maybe that's it. Maybe I found the place, you know. So.